Hi everybody, this is Matthew Kenslow, and in this video I am responding to a comment that I got from Adrian, and this is from my rope craft video that I did for Royal Rangers. I was sort of anticipating one of these comments to come sooner or later. In fact, I'm sort of relieved, if that makes sense, so I could, voice what I have to say about it, because I was just waiting to be called out on this. But he written, "I'm so sorry, but you look like you can't survive a day in the woods because your parents are overprotective. Sorry." And in the original comment it said overpriced instead of overprotected, but at least he's apologetic about it. That I appreciate, and I guess if you look at it one way, it is honest. And I was wanting this to come out one way or the other. It was just a matter of time. So first of all, this isn't the first time I've been called out. This is one of the many things or many reasons why I'm just so bullied, discriminated, teased, mocked at, laughed at for several years. This probably explains or answers the reason as to why, when it is in regards to a couple of the previous videos that I was making. I just spent like the past week making videos exposing times in 2017 when I was bullied and discriminated just for who I am and for having autism. July 16th, August 18th to the 19th, August 21st, and August 24th, 2017. Although the 24th I wasn't necessarily bullied and discriminated, but you could watch that video if you want to. My point is that I've been harshly discriminated against since kindergarten, and it hasn't stopped. And even after going through a week exposing things that I've been holding in my heart and my mind for the past 3 years, not telling anybody, plus hundreds and thousands of more harsh things that have happened to me, and then right after that Adrian makes this comment. But again, he's very apologetic, so I have to give him that, and it also gives me an opportunity to explain. So the point is, don't judge a book by its cover. And I've been spending a little while before making this video trying to find like a book, an actual book, for a little object lesson, but I'm sure you get the idea if I just verbally explain it. I mean, imagine like picking up a book and the cover just seems like it's going to be a bad book, but you open it, you read it, and it's one of your favorites. Something like that. And people like me are the same way. So an example that I've been thinking about for days, because I gave Adrian like several days for him to respond to my comment, which I'll share with you in a moment. But I've been thinking about like an analogy I can make, and one of the couple of ones that I could think of is an example of Stephen Hawking. Let's say that you've never heard of the late Stephen Hawking before, and you don't know how intelligent he was, but you see him there and you might think, oh, that guy just doesn't know anything. He's just one of those people who was born that way, and just he probably doesn't know simple math and such. But no, he was a famous like astrophysicist and probably a lot more than what I know. And I don't agree with Stephen Hawking with some of the things that he says, but or said in the past, but he was a very intelligent, world-renowned person, author, and such. So don't judge a book by its cover. Even though I look, tall, thin, skinny, and such, doesn't mean that I don't know anything, Adrian, and anybody else who might think that. So I like the comment below, one of the replies. Immediately, somebody replied to Adrian and said, "Isn't that his job?" So I take that as like a compliment. I mean, this is my volunteer job. I mean, volunteer, and I love it. I'll never accept a paycheck for volunteering for Royal Rangers at my outpost. And basically, since this is I'm devoting my life to children as well as teenagers, in the future being a middle school math and science teacher, this is what I'm passionate of doing, and so I have to know what I'm teaching, what I'm doing, what I'm mentoring. So I do know a lot of stuff, and I can survive. So I replied and said, "Hi Adrian, first off, I've been in Royal Rangers for 20 years. I earned the Eagle Scout equivalent medal, which is, I'm sure you've seen it on my vest, but it's this medal right here, this red, white, and blue one. And this is an Eagle Scout equivalent. Now, I'm repeating this. I'm not saying this, but I'm repeating this. But on September 8th, 2013, which was a Sunday, that I earned that medal, one of the commanders who is in the district, at least the section, told everybody in my GMA award ceremony, he told everybody in the audience saying that is tougher than an Eagle Scout. And I do got to admit that Royal Rangers does or does more than the Boy Scouts do. I'm just throwing that out there. But as far as what I know, I was never in Boy Scouts, so I'll just say it's equivalent. But a lot of people believe that it's tougher, and it is a fact that we do more than the Boy Scouts do. So I continued and said, my looks are deceiving, and so I understand where you're coming from, and for that I forgive you. And that's what I do with everybody, including a much more harsh comment that I got a couple of times earlier this year from a guy in the Middle East that just hates me just because of how I look, just because of how I sound and such. And I responded nicely back to him in 2 YouTube videos and such, and I'm not sure if he watched either one of them, but basically I forgive him, and likewise I forgive you, Adrian, and anybody else, but still that shouldn't demagnify the situation. I mean, it's still harsh, and I do hope that one day you would apologize, not just to me, but anybody else that you may have said similar things to. And also, my looks are deceiving. I had a personal trainer half a decade ago, and literally when I would be, working out, he said that I am deceivingly strong. He even told that to one of his interns. He said, watch out for that guy, he's deceivingly strong, so I am stronger than I look, just to tell you. And then I continued, just read my award-winning book for more details about me, if you want to. Or, you could just watch some of my YouTube videos. Now, this channel has, plane spotting, music, and other photography and videography and such. But, if you watch some of my autism awareness videos, which I have a playlist up here, you'll understand more about me, and that may, in a way, explain why I look the way I do and such. It is a long story, but it's part of judging a book by its cover. Like, people see me and think I'm clueless, but no, I have a degree in chemistry. I could juggle, I could play piano, I memorized the periodic table and the president's birthdays, death dates, term dates, and all that. And I memorized what to do to be an Eagle Scout equivalent, because it's part of my passion, and I don't do anything just for myself. I do everything and working hard in school and skills to basically pay it forward and teach and mentor other people, literally. And so if you want to, you could read my book. It is over 200 pages, so only if you want to, and it's being followed by people in every continent except Antarctica, and has won 2 awards already. And then I put, second, how would you know about my parent? I only have one, just to let you know. I put that parenthetically, or in parentheses. Basically, I only have one parent. How would you know about them, or if they're overprotective or not? That just doesn't make sense to me. And I want to conclude by, reiterating, don't judge a book by its cover. I can survive. I do know everything that I teach. I don't know everything, but what I teach and put on YouTube, I know, and there's a lot of things that I haven't yet put on YouTube that I'm still in the process of making. So, for example, like, I know how to tie knots and lash things together. I know first aid skills, and I've taught first aid skills before in the past, for the past several years. I know how to use a compass and such, all about the compass, not just the basics, but even beyond the basics, such as magnetic declination and such, as well as triangulation and, finding a bearing and orienting yourself. I know all of these things plus more, and now I'm just trying to make a valid point, and I'm not trying to devalue my outpost and its leadership and such. I'm not trying to devalue them at all, but just know that I am the only Ranger, Royal Ranger Commander, that knows how to properly use and teach everything that I've just told you and more. Yeah, some of my commanders do know more than me about certain things, of course, but I'm basically the only person in my outpost that knows how to, or the only commander that knows how to tie knots and show others how to tie knots. I'm literally the only person in my outpost that could teach first aid skills. I'm literally the only person in my outpost who could, teach the compass. I basically know more than pretty much all of my commanders, or at least most of them, and they're all, much older than me, from a few years to decades. I'm really not trying to say that harshly whatsoever, but I'm just telling the truth. And, these are basic, wilderness life, and you, Adrian, claim that I can't survive one day, and I know more than most of the commanders. Now, please don't get me wrong, a lot of outposts across the entire world, because we're in just under 100 countries, tons of outposts across the entire world is filled with good commanders who do know these things, and good commanders that only know maybe one or two of these things, including my outpost. I mean, my outpost is, filled with good commanders. It's just I'm one of the only ones that, if not the only one, that knows how to use some of these stuff plus more. I've taught things that nobody else, could teach for such a time as this. And then there are other merits that people have learned that I couldn't teach, but they taught it and such. And I've taught so much more merits, including the weather merit. That's why I have a barometer, thermometer, hygrometer here, because I know about weather instruments and just basic weather things, along with a lot more things. So basically, this video is not just for Adrian, but it's for everybody else that might, comment in the future. And, I'm glad. I'm very glad that this came out and such. And Adrian, of course, you said sorry twice, so I accept your apology, and you know that I forgive you. I just want a post apology, if that makes sense, like another one, but I'm not going to force it or so. I just hope, trust, and believe that you watch this one day, 1 year, 1 decade, once, or whenever, pretty much. But basically, for everybody out there, do not judge a book by its cover. Now, if you have autism or Asperger's syndrome and you're inundated by innuendo such as this, don't let it get to you. Just know that you could do whatever you set your mind to do. I'm not, telling you that you have to read my book. Just do your own research. Research other people's books. Research other people's YouTube channels or pages, whether it's or social media pages, whether it's from first-hand or second-hand perspective, or a little bit of both. You could do what you set your heart and mind to do. Do not ever give up on your passions, because you have a purpose, you have a calling. And notice I put I use the word passion in plural, so passions, because we all have many things that we could do. We just have to find it and then just not give up on them and just keep on practicing them. So anyway, I'm Matthew Kenslow. Have an excellent day.